Stein from Guitar Zoom here. Thank you so much for joining me. What I want to do over the course of the next 3 videos is help you to better understand how to build an effective and really cool sounding guitar solo. Now, the big thing for us is trying to move away from just making our solos always sound like we're just playing a scale. And one of the main things that we need to learn how to do in order to make this happen is to understand a little bit about melody. Now, melody might be something that you understand theory, right? You understand that in this case, I'm using an A minor chord and I'm using an F chord. So you might know your theory and know what the notes are for each one of those chords, and then you know your notes on your fretboard and you start thinking about that. Oftentimes, though, people don't know all of that information. They might be studying it, but they don't really know it offhand. So another thing that you can do is try and visualize your chord shapes on the guitar and then try and target the notes that way. So either way, what I want you to do is think about this. When that first chord is being played, that A minor chord, what I want to do is I want to think about the notes A, C, and E. Now, don't get stressed out if you don't know this information. I'm just kind of throwing this out there. And please understand, I've got a guitar course that's called Guitar Solo Builder that's going to take you from the very beginning steps of how to build a guitar solo from the most basic elements, adding in licks and phrases and, all these different kinds of things. And so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to introduce you to some basic ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the A minor chord. I'm going to visualize this A minor bar chord right here. And what I'm going to do over that chord when it's being played in my jam track is I'm going to come up here to this note here, which is part of that chord, and it's also the note E if you do know your theory. So that's what I'm using over this A minor. Now when F comes up, I'm going to visualize an F chord. Now the F that I'm going to visualize is actually taking the D and moving it up D sharp, E, F. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this note and I'm going to emphasize that note, which is out of the F chord. Okay? So what I want you to do is just follow along with me and try this a little bit, and then we're going to keep expanding it a little bit to give you some new ideas so you get a better understanding of what this guitar course is going to do for you. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to start the jam track again and just listen to those 2 notes. Now, seems pretty straightforward, but it's very effective because the notes are actually fitting. So what I do then is I start expanding my melody to try and add some elements in between those notes to make it sound a little more interesting. It's not always necessary, but that's what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm taking this note, and then as a transition, I'm just moving to this pentatonic note here. And then I'm dropping down to that note, which is part of the F chord. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the second time I do this, what I want you to notice is I change one of the notes because I'm trying to make it a little more interesting for the listener. So what I do is instead of going to this 5, okay, which is a C, which fits part of the F chord, okay, what I do is instead I wind up doing this. I go down a half step to this note. Okay, so that note is not part of the F chord, but it sounds really colorful in my ear, and it doesn't sound wrong to me. It fits nice and colorful. Let me show you what I mean. So here we go. And that works for me. So sometimes when we're building melodies, and again, we're going to talk about this in the course, we don't always have to try and target what we call chord tones, which are notes that are right out of the chord. We can actually look for all kinds of different things to create this unique color. And what I want you to notice is as I'm making this melody, I'm building, and I just drop that note back on purpose to give it a little more unique sound. Now, to tie it in, what I do is I actually add in this little vibrato or a small bend, a half-step bend, depending on how you want to look at it, okay? So I'm taking that 4 and I'm actually bending it up to the chord tone, which actually fits quite nice. So listen to this. So those are basic elements that I use to start trying to create a melody, a solo. So when we're trying to play guitar and we're trying to learn how to solo, one of the things that I think we do wrong a lot is we just think that we're supposed to grab some sort of jam track and never listen to it and just try and play along with something without ever knowing what's going on. And if you're ever in a situation where you have to play in front of other people, or maybe you're hired by a band and you've got to play with them and you're writing songs or whatever the case may be, you don't always want to go in absolutely cold. You might want to go in having some semblance of something that works over whatever the situation is that you find yourself in, because you want to sound good. You want whatever it is you're doing to sound right to the people that are either listening to you or critiquing you or whatever it might be. So this is a great place to start, is just learning how to build basic melodies. And again, we're going to be talking all about this sort of thing in the Guitar Solo Builder course. We're going to start very, very easy, and then we're just going to keep spanning out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep giving you new ideas, okay? New sections each time, just little things to keep building, and then we're going to talk about how to kind of edit them so they feel comfortable to you and they sound comfortable to you. So you could start learning how people like me actually look at building a guitar solo as well whenever we have various scenarios. And I'm actually going to be using this chord progression, this A minor to F, to show you the basic functionality of just looking at two chords and how to make this thing work. So please join me in the second video. What we're going to be doing in the next video is we're going to start talking more about phrasing, which is another really, really important part of learning how to build an effective guitar solo. So take care, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next video.